Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's breaking news, we're covering a significant development in the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. The situation has rapidly escalated after the Doha strike, with Muslim nations, including Iran, taking their first major action against Israel in what seems to be a significant shift in regional dynamics. The conflict between Israel and Hamas has been intensifying over the last several years, with global powers taking sides in the ongoing struggle. The Doha strike, which occurred recently, is seen as a critical turning point. It has not only affected Israel, but also ignited further hostilities between Muslim countries and Israel. While the strike itself was impactful, it is the broader political and military consequences that are catching the attention of the world. The situation is no longer just between Israel and Hamas, but it has become a conflict involving multiple Muslim nations, particularly Iran, who has historically supported Palestinian movements. This new level of involvement from Iran is significant. Iran, as one of the most influential and powerful nations in the Middle East, has long been known for its support of groups that challenge Israel's authority in the region. From supporting Hezbollah in Lebanon to backing Hamas in Gaza, Iran's actions have always been seen as part of its larger strategy to challenge Israel's presence in the Middle East. However, the recent move represents a substantial shift in how these countries are engaging with Israel. The Doha strike, which has now led to Iranian involvement, marks the beginning of a more direct confrontation, and this will undoubtedly impact not just the regional players but also global powers who are closely monitoring the situation. The involvement of Iran comes at a time when Israel is facing pressure both internally and externally. For years, Israel has maintained a strong military presence in the region, but this new wave of resistance from multiple Muslim nations suggests that Israel may soon find itself facing unprecedented challenges. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, have always been known for their technological superiority and military prowess. But in this new phase of conflict, the question arises whether Israel can hold its ground against a growing coalition of nations who are united by shared interests and ideologies. This shift in power dynamics is something that Israel will have to reckon with moving forward. Not only is Iran's involvement a game changer, but other Muslim nations who have traditionally kept their distance from direct military engagements with Israel are now expressing their support for the Palestinian cause more openly. This shift is significant because these countries could have a considerable influence in shaping the course of the conflict. Whether they choose to provide direct military aid or diplomatic support, the involvement of nations like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and others could turn the tide in favor of the Palestinian cause. This is especially true if these countries choose to align with Iran, further isolating Israel in the region. The prospect of a united Muslim front against Israel could make the situation more complex and difficult to resolve. One of the key issues that we must consider in the wake of these new developments is the role of the international community. For years, the United States has been a key ally of Israel, providing military aid and political support. However, with the rise of global diplomatic and military tensions, especially involving countries like Iran and the growing involvement of Muslim nations, the United States and other Western powers may find themselves in a difficult position. Will they continue to support Israel unconditionally, or will they be forced to reconsider their stance in light of the growing opposition from Iran and other nations? The answer to this question will shape the future of global diplomacy and could have far-reaching effects on the balance of power in the Middle East. At the heart of this conflict is the Palestinian people, who have long suffered under occupation and conflict. The question now is whether this new involvement from Iran and other Muslim nations will finally lead to the change that the Palestinian people have been hoping for. While the situation remains complex, one thing is clear. The growing support for Palestine from a wider range of countries suggests that Israel may face increased resistance from the international community. This could lead to new diplomatic efforts, but it could also result in a more protracted and violent conflict if both sides continue to escalate their military actions. Israel's response to these recent developments is crucial. The Israeli government has always maintained a stance of self-defense, but the new alliances being formed among Muslim nations are changing the calculus. It is no longer just about defending against a single enemy, but now Israel is facing multiple fronts of resistance. As tensions continue to rise, Israel's military and political leaders will need to make difficult decisions on how to respond. Whether they choose to escalate the conflict further or seek a diplomatic resolution, the world will be watching closely to see how Israel navigates this new phase of the Israel-Hamas conflict. The international community's role in this situation cannot be understated. While many nations have called for a ceasefire and a return to peace talks, the reality on the ground is far more complicated. The actions of Iran and other Muslim nations suggest that they are not interested in negotiating with Israel, but rather in pressuring Israel to make concessions. The question now is whether the international community can intervene effectively to prevent further escalation, or if they will be forced to watch as the conflict grows worse. As the situation continues to evolve, it is important to keep a close eye on the latest updates. The conflict between Israel and Hamas is far from over, and with the involvement of new players like Iran, the stakes have been raised significantly. The consequences of this new chapter will reverberate throughout the Middle East and beyond. Stay tuned for more breaking news and in-depth analysis as we continue to monitor this rapidly developing situation. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to stay informed about the latest updates and developments on this important issue.